That's emergency management's main focus, is to create a framework for the community to reduce vulnerability and make sure that we're ready to respond to any disaster that takes place in St. Johns County.
Emergency management's principal job is to take care of the residents. That means in a disaster, we're there to support them, make sure that they're taken care of.
I do a lot of planned writing, our long-term plans, our short-term plans. I also do our mitigation plan, which is to help mitigate against potential future disasters by strengthening facilities and educating the public. I also do a lot of public outreach.
Give you tips on how to put together your disaster kits, how to strengthen your home, all those type of things to make sure they're ready if we should have a disaster.
Probably that's one of the best things about this job is a typical day generally doesn't exist. Currently I'm working on a PowerPoint for mitigation, which is one of the big job duties I have is mitigation and mitigation planning. Something else that as soon as I finish doing that, I'm probably going to start working on healthcare plan review because that's also another big part of my job.
Best part of my job is actually dealing with the people of St. Johns County and the different levels of government. I've learned so much throughout my career. Emergency management is a continual learning process. When I first got into this, it was all about weather, whether it was hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, floods, and that's expanded over the years to include situations like Y2K, health situations, so it's a constant learning process as to what's happening within St. Johns County, the state of Florida, the United States, or even globally.
Well, the best part of my job is that I get to work in St. Johns County. I've only been with the county for the last couple of years. Prior to that, I worked all over the state of Florida, all over the Northeast Florida region with emergency management personnel and county governments all over the state. During that time, the only place I wanted to come work was St. Johns County.
My favorite part of my job is actually the public outreach. When I go out and I talk to people, one of the things I've found is people are really excited to talk about hurricanes. They like weather, and the fact that they're excited about it, we can get our message out of preparedness and knowing your zone and all those types of things. And hopefully, even if some of them take it back and they tell their neighbors or they tell their children, that our message gets out. Sometimes the challenging part can be the same thing, is to make sure they take our message back and to make sure they understand the risk.
Most challenging part is probably two things. People think that emergency management is new, and actually our base comes from civil defense back during World War I and has just progressed to include an all hazards approach. And so people think that maybe we're just kind of new, and we're not. We've been around a long time. Actually, emergency management's been with the county as a department since 1955. Second thing is, a lot of people think we only work during hurricane season, which is June 1st to November 30th. And we do planning, exercise, and training throughout the entire year to make sure that we're ready should any disaster strike.
The challenging part of what we do is understanding that what we do at times is a monotonous study of what's happening. Preparedness, planning, replanning, training new people, reinforcing training so that we're ready when something does happen. We have to know that what we're doing will protect lives when we bring it into play.
Each year, the St. Johns County Emergency Operations Center has an exercise prior to the start of hurricane season or right at the beginning of hurricane season to walk us through our comprehensive emergency management plan. So Hurricane Menendez this year was a functional exercise where we brought in all of our partners to the Emergency Operations Center and walked us through the most realistic exercise we could have, involving evacuation, sheltering, transportation.
And we simulated a shift change to simulate a day shift, night shift, because if a hurricane of that magnitude were to make landfall, we would have 24-hour operations in the EOC, and we would have to change shifts.
The Emergency Operations Center is designed to be the central coordination point for the county. This is where we bring in all of our leadership, decision makers, and all of our partner agencies within the community, whether it's St. Johns County departments, municipalities, private industry, or nonprofits and faith-based, to come together to solve problems if we would have a disaster or an incident that would require the EOC to activate. So what you see in the room is the layout of the EOC in different functional groups. So the functions that work together are seated together so that they can do problem solving.
The benefit of doing the exercise is getting our partners in the room, getting all the people in this EOC that would actually work here in an emergency, and making sure the relationships have been formed and that everyone knows their role in the event of that disaster, especially a hurricane, so that when we put out the call on Code Red and we make the call, they know where they're coming, they know who is coming, and they know exactly what their job is in an emergency.
We're here to support the citizens of St. Johns County. That's what we do. We want to educate them, we want them to understand what the hazards are, and we want them to understand that we're going to do everything we can to ensure that they are notified when something's happening so that they can take the appropriate action.
Emergency management maybe isn't the organization that you see all the time, but emergency management's always here for you. We're here to take care of the community, and we're here to take care of the responders. And should a disaster strike, we will be here for you in this Emergency Operations Center, making sure that we can do everything we can to protect this community and make sure that we can come through a recovery phase after the event to secure St. Johns County.